Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, I'm here with two lovely women, amazing leaders doing amazing work in the community, and that is to have that gender equality in their work in their own individual ways. And we are talking about positive masculinity, how you, boy child, can come on board and play your role to making us not equal but coexist in a good manner such that you're empowered and we're also empowered and we empower each other. All right. Reverend, maybe you can just walk us through what your community does as well, that is your church, how the situation on the ground is like, what you're doing in your day-to-day activities to make sure that this positive masculinity is achieved.
Okay, thank you so much. First, I thank God for the opportunity that He has given me as a church leader. I have been given the that position as a faith leader to be able to reach out to the community. And as you know, in our community, faith leaders are very much respected. You see, the community listens to us, and they are very obedient to what we say. And so as a church, one thing that we are doing is creating awareness, because one of the causes of gender-based violence is lack of knowledge. We can call it ignorance or illiteracy. People do not know. And the other one is the patriarchal system that we have in this country or as Africans. And the other one is the socio-cultural norms that we have grown up with. And so as faith actors, we know that we need to come in and play our part. Because we normally say that if we remain silent, that is not spirituality. Spirituality is speaking out, you see, and playing our role as faith leaders, even as much as we have other actors, civil society organizations, the government, coming in to change the narrative, we have a lot to play. And so in my church, that is the National Independent Church of Africa, we have partnered with other civil society organizations and other faith-based organizations so that we can create awareness through a program that we call Transforming Positive Masculinities. And in this program, we have a number of activities. One, we have what we call community dialogues. Now, in the community dialogues, we bring together the community in different groups. For instance, we have 4 different groups. One group is for young men, men aged between 18 years and 35. And the next group is the group of young women aged between 18 and 35. And then we have some more 2 groups. One group is for the older women, that's 5 years and above, and older men, that's 5 years and above. So we have created a safe space for them, so that they can sit down in their age groups and be able to discuss. And so it's a structured kind of discussion, whereby every week we discuss a specific topic. For instance, the first topic we start with is demystifying SGBV. What is GBV? And now our program is set in the rural areas, not the urban areas. These are people that are not very well exposed to the education that we have in the urban areas like in Nairobi. And so we also use the mother tongue to really be able to cut down what is GBV, what are the forms of GBV, what are the causes, how have we contributed to it, who are the perpetrators, and who are the victims, and what happens to the victims and the perpetrators of gender-based violence. And that is the first week of discussion in their groups. They are able to discuss and come up with points. And at the end of the day, they are able to really be able to understand what is GBV, especially now that we are celebrating 16 days of activism against GBV. And so the second week, we continue the conversation for 7 weeks. We discuss power and status. The status of a man, culturally and socially, and the position of a woman. And we even look at the biblical perspective of it. As we know, there are those biblical verses that have been used against women if misinterpreted. For For instance, when we say women should submit to their husbands, there are those people who take it literally that a woman has no voice. Mwanamke ni wa kuchapwa. A woman should be punished. You see, a woman has no voice. A woman has no economic value. A woman should not inherit property. A woman is a property by herself. That's how they translate it or interpret it, that is how submission is. But now we really want to bring the theological part of it. What did Paul mean by this? He was not giving men the power to suppress women. In other words, if you read the first verse up there, it says that men are the ends of the family, just as Christ is the end of the church. You see? And so, men, they have a role there too. This woman that is submitting, they need to love this woman. They need to respect this woman. They need also to contribute in provision. You see, we are not saying that man alone should provide. Even women, we are empowered and we are educated, we can provide. And so it's a all-round way of doing it. Men and women to respect each other and to play their role. And then when you look at the book of Genesis chapter 2, a woman was created to be a helper, not a slave. You see, helpers, a helper of someone, you help someone who is already doing something. But now, you see in the community setting, you find that most of these men that expect us to submit to, they are idle, they are doing nothing, they are disrespectful, they are drunkards, you see. And so they are not playing their part. And so what we try to do is flag out Bible verses that look like they are not supporting women, and then also bring out those other verses that are really supporting gender justice. Like in the book of, I think that is the book of Galatians chapter 2, when Paul says, when Jesus came to save, it doesn't matter if you are Jew or you are Greek, it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, if you are a slave or you are free, whatever. Jesus came that he can save all of us. And then again, Jesus himself says in the book of John, I came so that you can have life in fullness. What is life in fullness? Life in fullness is where a man and woman, they are both enjoying the life that God has given them. So when there is gender-based violence, whereby we know most of the victims are women, of course we have cases where men are also victims. We are cognizant of that. But now, when women are suppressed, is there life in fullness there? So as a church, we are not silent on that. And so in these dialogues, we try to bring out that, and not ourselves. We facilitate those groups, the community dialogues, to realize themselves that this is what has been happening, you see. And so by the end of the 7 weeks, we reached to a point where all the 4 groups that I've mentioned, they have reached a point where they have found out themselves. Not that someone has dictated to them. They have reached a point where they realize that what we have been doing is wrong. We really need to respect our women, and even women need to respect men. Because in the discussions, so many things come out where sometimes you feel men come out and say that we feel like women are not respecting us, especially the empowered woman. And so we really need to be careful there, so that as we are empowering the woman, we are also empowering the man, you see. And so by the end of that discussion, we come to a conclusion that there is gender justice in the Bible, there is gender justice in the church, and we need to respect each other's space, because that is what Jesus requires of us. If I can take you back again to the Bible, in the book of John, you remember the adulterous woman. Let's call her a prostitute. Here comes some church leaders, the Levites and other respected men. They are bringing a woman because this woman has been caught in adultery, and they want to stone this woman. And so Jesus, what Jesus does, he just stoops low and writes something on the ground. And he tells them, if any one of you has no sin, let him be the first one to cast a stone on this woman. And by the time Jesus rises up from where he is, everyone is gone. You see? And Jesus is asking, where are they? Where have they gone? And the woman is like, I don't know where they are. And Jesus is like, okay, your sins are forgiven. Go and sin no more. So where was the man that this woman was committing adultery with? Why is it that they want to stone the woman and the man is not there? You see? And so Jesus is, for me, I say that Jesus was a feminist in this case. Because Jesus is trying to show that justice is for all. And we shouldn't condemn. Stop condemning women. Even if a woman is a prostitute, do not condemn them. Even if a woman is a single mother, a teenage mother, do not condemn them. Because where is the man? Why are you looking at this woman? Why are you looking at the log? That is Matthew chapter 7. The log that is in my eye. Yet, as the speck that is in my eye, yet in your eye, there is a log. It's just that we don't see the log, but it's there. So why do we condemn a woman because of these, in quote, sins that are visible? Yet we are all sinners. The Bible says that we have all fallen short of the glory of God. So, in this case, as faith actors, we want to respect each and every woman. And as long as you have leadership qualities, it doesn't matter if you are a single mother, you are a divorcee, it doesn't matter the situation that you are coming from. You need to be given your position. If you are talented, you are gifted, you are educated, and people can see that you are capable. Those other factors, let us leave them out, because that is what Jesus did. And that has uphold human dignity. And that is what we are doing with positive masculinity. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless, because first I didn't expect that you are doing structured work in the community like that. I knew there was lessons and all that, but the fact that you have topics, you have a timeline, I think that's brilliant. And we're going to, towards the end, touch on how more men can access this, because I think even here on set we were having an argument and the men were saying we don't know where to start. We don't know exactly what to do so that we can be positive in our masculinity. So for Candy, maybe you can just respond to me. We've mentioned that Jesus was a feminist. You've said you're a feminist, and we've even described what a feminist is indirectly, because I also have my own description, which I sourced from Chimamanda Ngozi, and she says a feminist is anyone who believes in equality or equal opportunities to everybody. And she has amazing stories that she gives to showcase the imbalance between men and women. Maybe you can just tell us your understanding of feminism in your own way, and also now you can jump onto this positive masculinity and exactly what you're doing with that.
Thank you. So for me, it's not that different than what you have said. It's for anyone who believes that there have been people who have been oppressed. Sadly, it has been the women. We are not blind to the challenges that men face, but we're just saying with the pattern that has been there, women have been the longest sufferers of these problems. Yes.
Especially with GBV, the 1 in 3 women.
Yes.
The last decade.
True.
It's constant. You'd think things would change, but it hasn't. So here
exactly. Yeah. So it's about that, and as she was speaking, I remembered something. But feminism to me is anybody advancing the rights of everyone, more specifically believing that women do deserve a chance, because there's a lot we can do. Going back to people who were raised by single mothers, if your mother was not empowered, then you wouldn't be in the position you're in. If no one mentored her and told her there's importance in educating your children, then I'd not be here if my own mother was suppressed back then. But the fact that their parents gave them an equal opportunity to study, despite cases of FGM in Meru and anywhere else, then would not be here. So feminism is about advocating and advancing those rights and making them better, because when you have a balance, then things are good. But on positive masculinity, as she was speaking, I remembered during the community dialogues, some young men pointed out and asked me, then why would we give these women land? They will get married and live. Yeah, and most women sell the land. Even if they're given, many of them sell the land because you're never there. Not many have the business mind of maybe let me start leasing the land for farming and all that. Yeah, so that also opens the eyes to us as women, and it shows us what we are blind to. But then it also goes back again to the parents, because now if the parents nurtured the lady, telling her that you can also reserve the name of the family, you can also reserve this land for our family and maintain its originality, then the brothers would equally value her as a property owner. Yeah. So when the men say such things to you, then you get their thinking and you know where it's rooting from.
The importance and how different the dialogue makes.
Yes.
Yes.
So when they're able to open up and tell you directly, but why would I cook? Yeah, but then you'd ask them when you are hitting on her and dating, they help you cook.
True.
But when you marry, they fold hands. So you
chefs and cooks are men.
Exactly.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you ask them what changes when you marry. Why don't you want to assist?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why put pressure on the women,
Yes.
despite all the other activities the women would do? And in the community dialogues, we also go through what is acting like a man and what is acting like a woman. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we say what is acting like a woman, they'll tell us everything. They should be neat, they should be clean, they should be this, they should be that. Yeah. Yeah. They should be
they like makeup.
well. You know, you should have assets that they're looking for. Yeah. And when you then again ask them the duties of a woman.
Yeah.
They will list so many, and the whole flip chart is full. And we ask them, is it really fair then if you set all these standards for someone who has all these roles to do? What can you help with? Then they choose. They say, then maybe I can help cook. Yeah. Maybe I can think about
other things.
Not leaving my glass on the table, because you know those things they've been told. A good woman will help do all those things. But when we put them on the table and tell them, okay, a woman wakes up at 5, she's cleaning, she's cooking, she's making you breakfast, she's ironing your clothes, she's taking the kids to school, she's organizing with the maid how the house is going to be left. In the rural homes, she's organizing who is feeding the cows, or maybe she's the one feeding them herself, and all that. So when we put it to these men and tell them, we have not refused, your role is important, but here are the roles that these women are doing. Can you really put all these on one person? Yes, yet we're supposed to be partners, and we're supposed to coexist.
And mothers on top of that, career women, and all these things that we, once you do one, you're not good enough for another. If you're successful in your career but you never enter the kitchen, it's a problem.
So we show them all that. And one thing that I really like to tell them during these dialogues for promoting positive masculinity is, what is the problem with your woman being empowered? What if you're not there tomorrow? Right now we have single mothers. What if these women were not educated? Then what we are affecting the next generation? So why not be progressive with our thinking and make sure everybody can depend on themselves if the worst case comes to the worst? Because there is no joy in us. If you're making your 50,000, why can't I make my other 50? Together we have 100. So positive masculinity is about putting them down and telling them, this is what we have been doing. How are we moving past that?
Positive dialogue.
Yes.
And it's dialogue. Because in as much as you have the classes, you have those groups, I see the turnaround comes down to, okay, we've had and we've seen, can we negotiate, or can we talk about ABCD? And I don't think they would ever be the same after that. So I think what you're doing in the community is beyond incredible, beyond.
So we also, once they speak that way, we're also even able to see now how to mold women to become equally able to, get on that level where the men also, the male opinions have also been put in a constructive way, definitely, so that it can also mold the women into not toxic feminists, because you know, some, if we tell them the man is a provider, there's someone who's thinking then I need to be just sit back and wait for my share. So those are the things that we do. And with positive masculinity, it's a very much needed conversation. And I will echo what I said, just to wind up, I'll echo what I said, that we need to look from within, and we are not looking, I'm not looking to carry everybody at once. I'm just looking to change that one person and tell them this and that is what works, and listen to their opinion, then challenge their their thinking process. Because even in those dialogues, we ask these men, we task them in one of the power and status. We tell them, now as you go for this week, in the next session, we try to find out how they practice good leadership as men. Did they maybe make a better, create a better working environment for the women in the, and we challenge them to give us examples. So one would say, I helped serve tea. It was a bit challenging for me. It was awkward, but because they used to sending the women, now at least they've tried to do it, and they can see it's just a human role, and it doesn't feel nice. Maybe it feels awkward to them, but yeah, just telling them that you need to maintain the respect, because even that woman who is seated on that boardroom table with you is equally capable as you are. So there's no need to put the burdens of her cooking life in the office setup.
Exactly.
So yes, that's what we do. Yes. Let's embrace positive masculinity.
Thank you. I love that. I'm looking at the time and I'm like, why? Time is just flying. So that leaves us with a minute each to just maybe final word. What can you tell those men who I don't know where to start? Specifically men. As women, we always know where to start. But the men have really spoken. They're saying, we don't know where to start. Where can they start in 1 quick minute?
Okay, there is a famous quote by Mother Teresa that says that if you want to feed the world, feed the person next to you. And so even in this journey towards gender justice, I would say to the men that just start with the woman in your life or the women in your life. That is your wife, your sisters, your daughters, your mother, your aunties. Start from there. And start practicing the positive masculinities that you are learning. In other words, the knowledge that you are gaining, take it into use. My other parting shot is to the faith leaders. Let us not be silent of the gender injustices that are there in this country. God has given us a good platform to be able to reach out to the men out there. So let us take advantage of this, come together with other faith organizations and civil society organizations, and continue with the conversation. Let us also be engaged in the development of policies, the GBV policies in our counties, so that we can make a difference at this time that God has given us life and empowered us. So any man out there who is empowered, please make use of the empowerment that you have positively. Ensure that you have changed the life of that woman that is in your life. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't add any more. Final shot?
My final shot will be, as she said, I think she'll help me with this. There's a verse in Corinthians. I'm me trying to be mentored by the Reverend. There's a verse in Corinthians. It says, we are all part of one body.
1 Corinthians verses 13.
Yes. See, I know the Bible. Yeah, so it says we are all part of one body. Yes. And if the hand hurts, honestly, you always get a discomfort when one part of you is hurting.
Even the tip of the finger.
Yes. And as little as it might sit, for example, if you hurt your leg and it's amputated, then it affects your whole movement. My point is being a transformed man is important, because if you carry along everybody in your life, and that is the women, now if we're talking on gender basis, the women, if you carry them along, then the society is a better place. These women will be the mothers of your children. So if you do not look out for their mental health, if you do not look out for how you treat them at the very least, they might take it out on the child. So we are now transferring our pains and unhealed traumas to the children, and we are continuing this same process. And you never know, tomorrow that parent who is doing that may meet with your well-raised child and equally hurt them and cause the trauma. So it becomes, yeah, so we are all one. Let's value each other equally. If you hurt your eye, honestly, it's discomfort. I guess that analogy is very reasonable, yeah? So we are all part of the same body. Let's take care of each other. We need each other, because even us women cannot say we do not need the men.
No, we do need each
We do need you
Yeah.
to be the best version of yourself, and we are also trying to improve us to reach our best capacities, to also be equal partners and friends in the society to make it better. That would be my part in short. Thank you.
Ladies, I wish I could just have you on for another session, which we can do another time, and just because this is just the tip of the iceberg as to what's happening. But I just want to congratulate you for what you're doing in the community. We're so glad as the Nest to be able to highlight and show the world that indeed this is happening. There's hope out there, there's positivity. Let's not dismiss the words when we hear feminist, when we hear positive masculinity. Let's not dismiss it. Let's hear, understand, so that we can take care of the ignorance we talked about, or the illiteracy. And the more we know, the better we become. Thank you so much. I cannot add any more, but my parting shot is from Kendi, and she says, we are all one. If the hand is hurting, the rest of the body is gone. And I can't agree more. And without any more, because we must come to an end with this conversation, I've been your host, Maureen Waititu. Please feel free to reach us on Y254 on our social media pages. If you have a story to share, if you have anything, an incredible, wonderful story to share, you're welcome, and we'll be happy to host you here. Until next time, have a lovely night.